protests. We're joined by John Ross. He's a senior fellow at the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies at Renmin University of China from 2000 to 2008. He was director of economic and business policy in the administration of the mayor of London. What's your takeaway from all of this? If you were to look at the economic impact of this protest, where do you think it's hit hardest?
Well, there's two things that have got to be distinguished. The immediate impact is rather severe. Merrill Lynch put out a report estimating maybe $300, $500 million loss. On the other hand, if things calm down, if that's just money which is lost, it's really quite a serious blow for the shopkeepers and tourist industry. If things calm down, which at present they seem to be doing, then the medium-term damage will not be so great. But I'm sure that people in Singapore, for example, are inserting paragraphs into their promotional literature emphasizing peace, quiet, stability, etc. But I hope that it continues to go down as it appears to be doing at the present time, in which case the damage is short-term severe, but in the medium term it would be overcome.
What about long-term, if there's still this uncertainty and these, there's the chance that they may flare back up again? How does this impact Hong Kong's standing?
Well, I think the first thing would be whether the real message gets out, because some of the reporting is quite extraordinary, false outside of China. For example, the BBC ran a photograph which it claimed was of pro-democracy or anti the settlement for 2007 demonstrators. Actually, what the banners said was slaves of foreign masters, and you have a good life and don't realise it. This is extraordinary. I thought the BBC can at least read some banners which it's promoting. So there's a false, quite false images which is going out at the situation. Also, the important thing is, actually Charles Powell, who's Mrs. Thatcher's secretary, put it very well. She said, he said, Hong Kong always belonged to China and we rented it for a time. We never introduced democracy. The reality is that the governor who was put in by the British was never elected at all. Whether the 2017 system is right or wrong, it's certainly more democratic than the one which Britain had. So these types of realities. So I'm hoping that things will sort of calm down and there will be a bit more sensible view of the situation. In that case, there will be short-term damage, but the medium-term situation could be controlled. The key advantage that Hong Kong has is its relation with China. There was a foolish article which appeared, I think, in Bloomberg, saying, is China killing the goose that lays the golden eggs? The reality is that it's China which lays the golden eggs, and Hong Kong benefits from China, not the other way around. When Hong Kong was handed over to Britain, it was 17% of China's economy. It's only 3% of China's economy now. The key thing for Hong Kong is that it appears as the gateway into China. So hopefully things will calm down and there'll be some sensible reporting.
Well, you've provided some context, which has been missing, so that's always a good thing. Let me kind of tick off some of the stories that we've had. Cab drivers complaining, jewelers, we had a report on that last week. The stock market, we just had a report on tourism. As you look at the totality of it all, who's being stung the most, would you say?
Oh, it's certainly in the short term, the tourist industry, although things are very much calming down at the moment. A friend of mine sent me some photographs from Hong Kong last night. I believe my friends, but nevertheless one can always check, so I just put them up on Twitter and Weibo. This shows in Admiralty, which is one of the key areas in Hong Kong, completely empty streets where there have been demonstrators. If this was untrue, somebody would have certainly replied on Twitter and saying this is a falsified photo or something. I didn't believe it was, but you might as well be sensible about it. So at the moment, I think things show the sign of calming down very much, in which case certainly tourists and shops have suffered, but the long-term financial district and so on, things will be okay. But this depends upon things calming down in the way that they appear to be doing at the present time. So far, the government, in my opinion, has been rather skillful in Hong Kong. The three key guidelines are the National People's Congress decision will be carried out, government offices will not be occupied. No one would accept, for example, somebody occupying the Prime Minister's office in London, although it's rather close to Trafalgar Square where demonstrations are held. And thirdly, purely peaceful protesters will be allowed to protest. These have been the red lines from the Hong Kong administration since the beginning. They seem to have been carried out rather skillfully, and if that continues, I think things will calm down and then medium-term damage would be not so big, although I'm sure the shopkeepers are genuinely annoyed.
John Ross joining us from Beijing. Thanks so much.